Hey, what's up, everybody? Fred Minnick here, and today I'm going to taste this right here, this Jack Daniel's 12-year-old. Now, last week I tasted the 10-year-old, and I got the SRP wrong. The SRP actually for the 10-year-old Jack Daniel's is around $85, $90, even though realistically it ain't selling for that. Most retailers are selling it way up. This one, the SRP is like $95. But realistically, this will be sold online, secondary, and in most liquor stores for far more than $95. But I wanted to tell you that I got that wrong. But you know, it's the crazy thing about SRPs is that even if the whiskey distiller wants the SRP to be a certain way, legally they cannot dictate to a retailer or a distributor how much they can sell it for. And that all goes back to the hearings in the 1940s and 1950s that had to do with price fixing in the whiskey business. Oh boy, that's a whole thing. You can read about it in one of my books. I actually cite a lot of Pappy Van Winkle's testimony in my book, Bourbon, the Rise, Fall, and Rebirth of American Whiskey. But it's kind of ironic. You know, I always thought it was kind of ironic that Pappy Van Winkle was like the big voice against price fixing, and now the brand that dons his name is the one that gets jacked up more than anything. Anyway, I'm here to talk about and taste Jack Daniel's 12-year-old, not go down this historic thing of price fixing in the 1950s. But if you want to read about it, go check out my book. So here we go. Like I have been in love with these Jack Daniel's super premium products. The 10-year-old. Especially from a couple of years ago, I was in love with. Last year's was very good. This year's 10-year-old, I was pretty soft on that. I mean, it was okay, but I don't think it was anywhere near at the level of those. Just having poured this and smelling it, like on my nose is a good foot away from my Glencairn. I was telling you, I can smell this thing. This is intense. This 12-year-old, this Jack Daniel's 12-year-old smells intense. I'm going to go ahead and get to the tasting here now. Boy, that smells good. Okay. So the nose is very banana forward, bananas Foster's forward, banana pudding, banana. But it's not like annoyingly banana, because after the banana notes, there's some caramel, there's some vanilla. There's actually a lot of really attractive things in here, but the banana is what's most prominent. Now, if you're not a banana fan, which my wife is not a banana fan, my sons are not banana fans, so I'm like the only one in the family that eats bananas. So I happen to like bananas. So when I smell bananas, I don't get turned away. Now that actual that actual nose comes from a compound in the whiskey making process. It's from the yeast. Jack Daniel's talks about it on their tours. If you've not been to a Jack Daniel's tour, go on a tour and they'll educate you on the yeast process that they have that creates that kind of like banana note. All right, so here we go. I'm gonna go ahead and put it on my palate. Oh, I smelled one other thing. Smell some earthiness, kind of like, you know, reaching your hand in a garden, pulling up the dirt, a kind of dirt smell. It's not a bad thing, by the way. Everybody, when I say dirt, they're like, "Oh my God, it says my whiskey smells like dirt." It's not a bad thing. I ate dirt as a kid, but I did not eat paint chips that I know of. Oh, that's good. Leaps and bounds better than the 10-year-old product. Yeah, this is incredibly better. That's 107 proof, so it's a touch higher in proof than the 10-year-old. But man, I feel it really intensely in the middle of my palate. I also feel it in the back, not so much on the front or the sides. It's not going down the jawline. It's not tickling the roof of my palate, but it's really, really intense in the middle of my tongue. And everyone's tongue is different. Everyone feels things differently. But for me, I'm getting it very, very receptively on the middle of my palate. Nose hasn't changed. Going to go to the Bananas Foster. When I had a little orange marmalade to it. There's like a lemon peel here. There's a lot of citrus going on. There's a little cherry. There's some caramel, some like a brioche bun, like not a full-on yeast roll, but kind of like a brioche bun that you would use like at a fine steakhouse, like on a hamburger, if you were to order a hamburger at a steakhouse. Which, by the way, like, I don't know where I stand with that. I'm very firmly against like going to a nice steakhouse and ordering chicken. Now, I realize a lot of steakhouses can have chicken, but I'm like, why are you in a steakhouse? Maybe you're a tag along. Maybe you're like trying to like, you know what? I don't like eating beef, but just, I don't know, get a salad. I feel more comfortable with someone getting a salad at a steakhouse than chicken. Am I wrong with that? What are your thoughts? Put it in the comment section. But you got to remember, I wrote a book on steak, and I spent an entire year going to steakhouses around the country and eating various steaks, and that was something that always stuck out to me. Some places didn't even have chicken on the menu because they were offended by it. Now, they will actually, what's interesting is steakhouses will be more accommodating many times to a vegan than someone who wants chicken. Kind of weird, actually, now that I think about it. It's like this rivalry between beef and chicken. Okay, back to the tasting. So, that brioche bun note, brioche buns can be kind of sweet, they can be savory, depending on the maker of it. Like, they can also be buttery, like overly buttery. And, there's a big distinction between a brioche bun and like a Hawaiian roll for me. Like a Hawaiian roll is like really sweet, really yeasty, whereas like a brioche bun is far more savory. So anyway, all that is a rant and going on back and forth about chicken and steak. Just to mention that I have a brioche bun note here. So yeah, here we go. Now this is around the time that the third taste is kind of when I really focus on the finish. And the finish is how long you still feel it on the palate after you've tasted it. And this is a pretty long finish. I've been feeling it since the first tasting. But I can't shake the brioche bun note. I just can't shake it. So my mind's there. I'm going there. This is Bananas Foster. It's all those like citrus notes, and it's brioche bun. And that's one of the strangest combos I've ever cited, period, on this channel or in my tasting notes, like my book. I got 200, 300 tasting notes in my book, Bourbon Curious, and I can almost promise you brioche bun is not in any of them. So, in fact, I have a spreadsheet of most of my reviews. I'm going to search in my spreadsheet to see if I've ever cited brioche bun. I don't think I have. I really don't think I have. So I'm kind of like, I'm puzzled now. I don't know how to feel. I've discovered a new tasting note in a whiskey that I drink often in Jack Daniels. Is this good? Is this bad? Well, I like the whiskey, so I'd say it's good. But, do I recommend it? I mean, look, if you can find this for SRP at $95, you buy this. Like, if you got to call up a cousin and borrow $50 to get you over the edge, then you buy it. Like this, I would put my stamp on it without a doubt that this is a $95 whiskey. Don't even think about it. Just buy it. If it's at $200, if a retailer has taken it upon themselves to mark it up and earn a little extra profit for themselves, because hard times, they're in business, they got to make money too. even though I don't agree with that necessarily, but it's, again, the distillers cannot dictate what a retailer can do. I would say at $200, it sure tastes a lot better if you got it for $100. Yeah, but if you got that kind of disposable income, you don't want to wait in line, you don't want to deal with the hunt of it, if you will. If you got a retailer, you can just call and say, hold that bottle for me, I'll pay double. Then, yeah, okay. I would say this is probably better than the majority, 75% of the $200 bottles that you could buy anyway. But once you get past that, $250, no, can't support it. But I also don't think there's a whole lot of American whiskeys that really could and should be at $250. There's very few exceptions. Whistle Pig, Boss Hog, 2015, I think. Was that the Prince? I think it was the Prince's, something Prince. Deadly Prince. I can't remember the name of it. That was worth $600. Pappy, depending on the year, likely not. But anyway, I'm rambling. I'm just trying to give you some measures for, is this bottle worth the money that you could potentially spend? And in most cases, I would say yes. The Jack Daniel's 12-year-old is delicious, and it is worth every penny, especially at SRP, possibly double the price. But I would advocate not buying it for double the price, trying to find it at SRP if you can. That's going to do it for this little old tasting video that turned into a rant about brioche buns and chicken versus steak. Where do you stand in the great debate? And are you a vegan? If so, what's the best vegan dish out there? I happen to like vegan cupcakes. But that's going to do it, folks. Be safe out there. And remember, and vodka sucks unless it's being used for hand sanitizer or to clean up the murder scene of a dead cat. Cheers.